Hello friends, this is Daniela coming to you from Perth, Western Australia for episode number 3 of my little podcast called A Knitter's Suitcase. It's great to have back everybody who has previously subscribed and watched my first 2 episodes, and it's even more wonderful to welcome new people and new friends in this little corner. Previous episodes I was in my yarny corner in the house. Today I'm in a different space. This is the conservatory because my family are at home. It's school holidays, as tomorrow it's going to be Easter, and so I had to find a space where I can be quiet and I have time and silence to talk to you. So I've moved to a different space of the house. That's my back garden there. I hope the breeze doesn't move the leaves too much and create, disruption to your watching. But yeah, we should crack on as we've got quite a few things to talk about. So my podcast is normally structured in the traditional way. So I share what I have finished first, and then my works in progress, and then new cast-ons and dreams. And I have a tiny bit of a new section regarding sewing and some acquisitions. So it really is a lot. Well, I'm also wearing one of my knits today, but I will not spend much time talking about it because, as I said, there's a lot of content already. So this is my anchor shirt, a nice pattern by Petit Knit. It's a short-sleeved jumper, and it's very close to my heart because this is the knit that I was working on when I was traveling for the first time here to Australia, when I moved with my family 6 months ago. So, well, every knit in my life, it really brings memories and, has a special meaning for me. Well, I am a very bad podcaster, as I should first of all tell you where you can find me. I'm not massive on social medias, but I've got a page on Ravelry, of course, where you find me as DanyUK, and I'm getting better at adding the details of my projects there. And I'm mainly active on Instagram as A Knitter's Suitcase. I'll put all the details for my contacts and also for the projects in the description box below, where the little downwards arrow is. You click there and you'll find as much information as I managed to remember and type in. Another thing I don't want to forget is sending much love and lots of thanks to 2 of my knitting friends that have been amazing and have shared news about this podcast and brought me quite a few new followers that I am really happy about. One of them is Anne of the podcast My North Knit Corner. She is an amazing knitter and I absolutely recommend you watch her. And the other one is my dear friend Kellie, who is here in Australia, in Sydney. Her podcast called Kellie Knits. And in her latest episode, she's mentioned me because she's knit a very pretty oddment cowl using some yarn that I sent her. I encourage you to go and check her out because she's got very, very pretty and perfectly, delightful projects in her latest episode. Okay, now we can really start. Start with finished objects. I've got 3. One of them is not here with me because it's on its way to the UK to a friend, and it's a pair of mitts. I'll add a photograph for you to have a look. I've talked about them quite a bit in my previous episode as they were a work in progress, and I had a bit of an adventure with the yarn I chose. The pattern is the Medley mitts by Helen Stewart, and it came as one of the patterns in the collection of Knitfent 2022. And they are fingerless mitts with a row of eyelets above the cuff and then 3 color bands. Really nice DK weight yarn, so they knit up quite quickly. I've hacked the pattern quite a bit as I have omitted the eyelets and done them all in one color. But again, for more infos, please look at my previous episode. I also have another thing that I really enjoy sharing with you is my knitting journal. I have found, with time that it is great for me to make notes of what I make and, just add here and there some thoughts or memories or ideas. So it is mainly a knitting journal, but it's in general also a journal of my creative journey, let's say. So I have a page for every project, and I like to share that with you. Some pages are prettier, I spend more time embellishing them, and I have more content to add to them. Others are barely, notes, but I'm not putting any pressure on myself about making all the pages necessarily pretty for myself or for you to see. I tend to have a very relaxed attitude and just make what really, is fun for me. So this is the page for my Medley mitts. So I have added the band for the mohair that I was knitting. I was using together with the main yarn. That was a Rico design yarn, and I have added some stickers, some decorations. This is more or less, as you can see, the color palette of the mitts. So that's very quickly my first finished object. And I do recommend that pattern for little gifts, for a quick knit that may work as a palette cleanser. Now, there is a little bit of a, how can I say, a seasonal problem here, because I've got a lot of friends and I think quite a few viewers who are in the northern hemisphere, so they are approaching, they are already into spring, and they will be more interested in, lighter knits and patterns for, light t-shirts or tank tops. While here in the southern hemisphere, it's the beginning of autumn, so you'll see quite a few warmer knits and accessories for the coming winter. Well, I hope that whatever you see here is of some inspiration for you anyway. And I'm not making, an effort to knit something for a different season. It's just what it comes. So another finished object that I want to share with you today is this little pair of socks that I have knitted for my daughter. She is 10, I think she is 35 European size shoes. So they were quite a quick knit. Basically, they are a vanilla sock pattern that I have made up a little bit while I was knitting. I started with a 2x2 ribbed cuff with a German twisted cast on, that gives them some elasticity and some, it makes them easy to put on. Then, well, the main reason why I made these socks really is because if you saw my previous episode, I got a beautiful collection of little scraps of yarn by a friend in the UK, Karen. She's got a podcast too, Knitting and Labradors. Do not miss that too. And I wanted to use some of the beautiful speckled yarns in her package. So I decided to do a stripy cuff with this little bit of a decoration between stripes. So it's literally one round of knit one, purl one, just to make some sort of different element. And then the main yarn here is Filcolana Arvetta. I can tell you the color, sorry for the paper noise here. It's color 957. Filcolana Arvetta is very soft. It's a very nice yarn, not only for socks. I think it's 75-25 wool and nylon, I think. And it's super soft and it's lovely for socks, but can be used for garments, for shawls as well. I've really enjoyed it. It's really versatile. That's the word I was looking for. So this is the first time I've tried this short row heel, and I got the information from a free pattern on the directions to make it from a free pattern on Ravelry, which is called Ariose socks by Lisa Schmidt. You can find the details in my Ravelry page. And yeah, I'm kind of happy with them. I must say, probably they are not the tidiest and prettiest short row heels, but this is my first time, so please indulge me. And I will have to see how they wear. But the truth is, I'm not a massive sock knitter, though I am kind of learning to appreciate how easy it is to carry around a sock, to knit on. And I really like to wear my hand knit socks, and my daughter as well does as well. So I think I'll knit more of them in the future. And then we've got the toe, which I don't know if it's got a name. Anyway, it's basically like a wedge toe where you knit, where you decrease on the two sides and then you Kitchener stitch the bit at the top, the stitches that are left at the top. Of course, you can't have a pair of socks without some mismatched elements when I am the knitter. So we've got same cuff for the two socks. And then I got my daughter to pick two of the four colors in the cuff, and she chose these two, and we did different toes to one another. So yeah, I think they're really nice. Now, another thing that if you've watched me before, you already know, and I'll point it out for the newcomers, is that I'm a bit of a mischievous knitter. I mean, I do mistakes because I'm here for the joy, I'm here for the adventure of trying new things, for the joy of putting colors together. It's my space of freedom and of creativity. So if I make some little mistakes, sometimes I just decide to rip off. Sometimes I absolutely enjoy, trying to turn them into something creative. Anyway, I cast on 54 stitches, and that was okay for a 1x1 ribbing, as I did in another pair of socks of hers, but is not okay in a 2x2 ribbing cuff. So I had a column of 4 stitches here at the back, 4 knit stitches at the back, rather than, you know, the perfect alternation of 2 and 2. And I just decided to, you know, add a little stitched flower on them, a little embroidery to, you know, not even hide the mistake, just to do a little embellishment and to surprise my daughter with something she wasn't expecting on her socks. And I think they're absolutely cute and, yeah, and really special. People may have stripes in their socks, but who's got a little flower on the cuff? So yes, that's me done with these socks, and I'll show you the page on my diary. So I've got a paper cut here from a magazine to show off the colors. It's, you know, the color inspiration for it. I've got some details about the date I cast on, the date I bound off, and some notes about the fact that, for example, next time I'd like to make them a few rows longer for her because these are quite snug. The little flower that I embroidered at the back, and yeah, details about how I constructed them. And there is also another little note here because I decided to enter them in the Scrappy Stashing Mull by Selma Knit on Instagram of the Little Big Knits podcast. So everything goes in this page of mine. They weigh altogether 41 grams. So I used 14 grams of scrappy yarn and 27 grams of the main Filcolana Aveta. Knitted in 2.5 millimeter needles, and yeah, that's it. Well, the last finished object that I want to share with you is the elephant in the room. You may have seen it already if you follow me on my Instagram, as I've shared quite a few photographs. But this is my finished test knit. I think in my previous episode, I only had shown the yarn that I was using for it. And this has been my major knitting commitment for the last, let's say, 4 weeks, because it's a project that took me quite a lot of time to complete. Now, the pattern is called Slidin Away, and it is a pattern by Melissa Kemmerer design. All the details will be underneath. It is a test knit that I joined on the platform Yarn Pond. And it's a very beautiful shawl, it features mainly slip stitches. So all the sort of pattern elements you see are produced by slipping stitches in different ways, of course. So it isn't terribly difficult, but of course it's a big knit. There's quite a bit to pay attention to. But I mean, the overall result, I think it's pure joy. Now, Melissa made her sample in just 2 very similar colors, gray and blue, on the gray and blue tones. And she used a fingering slub sort of yarn and a mohair. I will add a photograph for you to see what her sample looks like. And I must say, all the knitters, the test knitters, have made brilliant interpretations of the pattern, choosing very different colors, all sorts of interpretations, as I said. My idea was to use this beautiful, let me show you closer, this beautiful hand-dyed yarn by Cable Ties Knits that I bought for the purpose of this shawl at Perth Extravaganza, a craft fair here in Perth. And I also wanted to use this mohair, which is unfortunately a mystery mohair I got in Italy at a wool warehouse. But because I just wanted to enjoy the contrast. I think slip stitch patterns are, you know, really benefiting from a high contrast, if you like it. But then when I started knitting and I started appreciating all the beautiful speckles in this hand knit, in this hand-dyed fingering, I mean, the color lover in me couldn't stick with only two colors. And so I started to, you know, draw inspiration from the colors in the speckles to add more colors in the mohair sort of element of it. So I used this, well, first of all, I added a little bright pink in this stripe, which is a drop kid silk mohair. Lana Gatto, I think, sort of gold. And then I've got, you know, again, the pink, the bright pink kid silk. And then I've got, this one is the Lana Gatto mohair that I used in my Lento. Previous episodes will tell you more about it. And I just sort of alternated the mohair colors as I felt, you know, would look pretty in the while I was knitting it. Honestly, in the end, when I got to the end of the last rows of the shawl, I had so many stitches on my cord that I wasn't feeling I was really appreciating the final effect of the shawl. I think that always happens when you're working on a very big piece and it's a bit scrunched up. But once it was finished and blocked, and the morning I finished it, there was a beautiful sunshine outside, so I'll add more pictures. These colors in the sunshine, the fabric well stretched by the blocking, I think it's just an amazing piece. It's absolutely soft and light. You must consider that I have used 98 grams of fingering, so the whole skein basically of the fingering hand dyed, which is called Flutter. Here is the label, here is the page for the shawl. So this is the colorway Flutter by Cable Tie Knits, and the base is Alpha 4 ply, 85 superwash extra fine merino and 15% nylon. And the more various bits of mohair that I use are 59 grams. So it's altogether, it's 159 grams for a shawl that is 2 meters, 208 centimeters by 93 centimeters deep. So it's massive, it's so soft, so light. I mean, I can't wait to start wearing it. Until a couple of days ago, it was really very, very warm here, still very warm. So I just took the final photographs and sealed it in a airtight bag, because, not airtight, but in a sealed bag, because I'm really worried my woolen may be, you know, bitten by some moths or any little insects. Now, now the weather's going much cooler, and I think I can start pulling this out and enjoying it every day, possibly, even every day. Another little modification I did is that I was supposed to have, I think, 4 garter ridges altogether at as the final border, but I only stopped after the first 2 because I was really running out of yarn. I had, as I told you, 2 grams left, and that wouldn't be enough to go on with many more rows. But I'm absolutely happy with it. I cast this on the 2nd of March and finished it on the 26th of March. It was an intensive sort of project. I worked on it a lot, not exclusively, but I worked on it a lot, really, and with a lot of joy, because it's just brilliant. This is a triangular shawl. I haven't pointed this out yet. And I mean, look at how the increases in the middle. I enjoy so much to see how the line, the diagonal line in the middle, plays with the patterns, with the stitch patterns, and I just think it's a beautiful piece that I will wear loads. I actually had initially considered knitting this one to gift it to a friend, but no, I can't part with it, I can't give it away because it's beautiful, and the colors are right up my street, and yeah, it's gonna be mine, all mine, all mine. So the pattern hasn't been released yet. I think it'll be released around the 15th of April. But I invite you to check Melissa's Instagram page and Ravelry page, as she has recently released another shawl pattern with using mosaic slipped stitch, which is really nice, and it's called Ancient Moss, and it's a DK shawl, which I haven't often knitted shawls in DK, but it's something I might, enjoy trying at some point. And, that one is a good one to sort of bookmark for the future. Works in progress. My works in progress today, I've got a few, but I will share with you only a couple, as I've got more to talk about. The first one I want to share with you is I've got 3 actually, 3. So the first one I want to share with you is another test knit that I'm doing for a dear friend who is Ambah Knits on Instagram. She is an extremely skilled and creative knitter. She is part of my virtual knitting group, the one with the knitting friends. And I've seen her in this past year, knit up some beautiful versions of popular patterns. But she has recently started designing her own garments and accessories. And I must say, I think she's really talented, and I've seen some really special garments by her. What I'm knitting now for her as a test knit is a lightweight t-shirt, which is called the Summer Sorbet tee. Unfortunately, though I'm quite away down the body, it's all a bit scrunched up. I should have probably blocked it before showing to you, but I must say the beauty of this garment is in a lot of things. First of all, it's such a relaxing knit because it's all stockinette, and I find, it's like having a moment of meditation knitting it. I enjoy it so much. It's got a raglan construction, so it's got short rows at the back and a raglan construction which is created with slip stitches at the arm, and I love this line that the slip stitches create so much. I think it's so crisp and clean, and I think it will look amazing. I've seen some of the test knitter finish their versions already, and they look really, really classic and so wearable and open to work with different interpretations, different modifications, and lots of colors, and it really is gives you space to enjoy the knit and to make it your own. So the yarn you're supposed to use is a light fingering. I think Leah's sample is done in Knitting for Olives silk, and many of the friends in the test knit group have gone with the same yarn. I have been struggling a bit to find the right yarn. As usual, I'm not very good at hitting gauge with the very first attempt, and in the end I decided to go for this yarn that I already had in my stash, which is a wool linen blend. Unfortunately, again, it's a mystery yarn from my haul at the Italian warehouse, so I haven't got a label or very precise information about it, but it makes a super soft fabric, and I think it will look very drapey and comfy to wear once it's blocked. Now, as I was sample knitting, I have been a good girl. I was test knitting. I was a good girl, and I also swatched for it, as you should do. Not a very big swatch, but I made it. Here it is. So as you see, it's quite a nice fabric when it's finished. And also, I have had a go at a few things on my sample because I like colors. I say it about 30 times every episode, and when I saw this t-shirt, I thought that would be the perfect canvas to add some cute modifications and some cute embellishments of my own. So I decided to buy a contrasting mohair, and this is, let me show you what this is, because of course I've got a page for it as well. It's a Katia concept, so this is my page, Summer Sorbet Tea, and the yarn is Concept 50 mohair shades, Super Kid mohair, 67% mohair, 30% polyamide, 3% wool by Katia. And I've picked this. I wanted something a bit more neon-y, but then the color range, which is quite big, didn't allow, at least the shop where I went, they didn't have all the colors. And at the end of the day, I thought this one was quite cute. You see a theme here. Anyway, I picked this color, and my plan is to embellish it with, I think, like a faux seam like this one. I didn't like these other options that I tried. A faux seam like this one, probably around the neck and maybe around the sleeve cuff. It's a, did I say it's a short sleeve t-shirt? Well, it's a tee, so it's short sleeved. And I could do another faux seam here around the cuff, maybe fold the hem. And then I want to make a very nice and quite big chest pocket in this mohair. So I'm inspired by some sort of athleisure. Do you say it like that? Is it correct? Athleisure. So these sort of gym clothes that are also a bit fashionable to wear every day. I don't know if I'll get that final look, but I'm excited. I have been tempted to start doing the faux seam already, but in truth, now I've decided I want to finish it because really I enjoy so much the stockinette in the round at the minute after finishing such a demanding project. So I'm quite a bit at a good point down the body. The pattern allows you to choose either a cropped or a normal length option. I will carry on knitting and try it on at one point and see where I want it to hit me. But can't wait to be able to put my hands on the finished tee and do all the embellishments. If you know me, I'm like a little kid with my knitting. I love the sort of creative and playful aspect of it, if I may say so. And it's all in this, I don't know if I've ever showed this to you. This is a little project bag that I made myself. I'm not very good at sewing, but I have made a few project bags, and I've got more in my future plans, as I'll show you very soon. This is the third size for Leah's tee, and yes, I cast on the 27th of March, but then I sort of started slowly, but now, as I told you, I'm going really fast with it. And I've made a note here. I'm not sure whether this is the correct spelling, but I would like to enter it in the You Feel Free in 23 sort of mull by Ruth Loves to Knit. And yeah, in all honesty, I should thank Leah for letting me be free with this pattern and personalizing it. But anyway, I feel free about what I can make with it. It's 3.5 millimeter needles, so it's quite small needles, but I have come to realize that this combination of needles and thread and yarn is probably the ideal for my hands. It's the combination with which I'm the most comfortable, and I've noticed I've sped up quite a bit with my knitting, at least when I work on that. So yeah, super enjoyable project for me. Very quickly, let's carry on. I've got an update on my long-standing work in progress, which is my daughter's Pengweeno. Here we are. So you've seen this previously. The Pengweeno is a bit of a crazy pattern for an oversized scrappy cardigan by, I can only describe him as a genius designer, Stephen West, who is probably crazy with most of his creations, but I love his style. I love, again, the freedom, the creativity he inspires in all the people who embrace his patterns. So this one, I started at the back. It is started at the back with a moss stitch panel, and then you've got some wells here. That was so fun to make. Last time I showed you, I had knitted a half of the front because it's a cardigan, as I said. So you've got two fronts, and I just picked the colors as I felt I enjoyed them and put them together. And since then this is the first half that I had already showed you. This is the second half that I've recently completed. And I have also started a sleeve. So for the sleeve, I've gone back to using this very busy bamboozle yarn. And then I have added some rows, again, moss stitch with scrap yarns that I have combined as I found would be fun. I have done the shoulder, which is basically just a square that connects the front and the back. And I have started doing the underarms, because basically for the sleeve, you don't knit it in the round, it's knitted flat, and then you have to connect the bottom with another panel, which was super fun to knit, I must say, really satisfying, until I came to the top and I realized that I had messed up because you need to pick up stitches, and for some reason I have messed up my counts. I don't know why. I've got many more rows left on one side than on the other, so I need to undo it. Anyway, I've had my daughter try it, because now, of course, it starts to have a shape where it's more, wearable, and she looks terribly cute in it. So I'm very, very pleased. It isn't as oversized as I thought it would be, but I think though it's less oversized than I thought, still it maintains its style of a quite boxy and roomy garment. So I think she'll enjoy it now, and she'll enjoy it for the future. It's not one of those garments that children grow out of very quickly. And yeah. Again, I'm a scrap lover. I like combining colors. I like combining texture. I like grabbing a bit of this and a bit of that and putting together and see the magic happen. So this is just, this is definitely my kind of knit, my kind of, one of my favorite projects that I can, take time with. So that's my Pengweeno. I have a page for it on my diary as well. There it is. No, I have shown it to you before. So that's my little illustration of a penguin wearing the Pengweeno, and some data here. It's worked on 5mm needles, so it grows quite quickly, but it's mainly garter stitch. So as you know, garter stitch sort of being very corrugated, can we say that? It eats up quite a lot of yarn, which is absolutely fine. I don't mind, and it takes some time to complete. Okay, brilliant. So I look forward to my next session knitting on it. Final work in progress for today. is a new cast on that I have started after finishing this shawl. Well, because basically shawls are my favorite sort of knitting project, and I was sort of panicking because I had no shawls on my needles once I had finished that one. And also I'm still thinking of that present I have to give to that friend. There's no deadline really, but well, I thought I'd give this pattern a go. This is a pattern by Ambah O'Brien, and it's the Cheri Chevron shawl. It's the pattern suggests you two different sort of interpretation of it. It's literally chevrons. It's a triangular, quite shallow shawl. It's worked from one tip through to the center and then to the other tip. So you increase in the beginning and then you decrease. And the designer suggests that you use either two different fingering weight yarns or a fingering weight and a sort of matching or contrasting, you know me, mohair for it. So I think it will be a very wearable and fun and comfy shawl to knit. And this is my first rows on it. I haven't gone very far, to be honest with you, and I have even left it halfway through a row. What a bad knitter. So here it is in these quite springy colors. My friend, I wanted to knit this for, actually lives in the UK, so I thought, okay, she'll enjoy it in spring now, though to be honest, I don't really know when I'll finish this one and send it to her. Though, again, I must say that I have used this sort of pale lilac for winter garments for myself a lot. So, you know, it just depends if you like it or not. Then spring or winter doesn't make much difference. The yarns I've got here are these very nice speckled hand dyed yarn by Ducky Ducklings. There you go. So it's lilac and it's got some bits of gold in it on a neutral cream base, and it's called Lilac Cottage. Here is the journal page for it. The day I started it, I had a bit of time and I felt like playing with my decorations and washi tapes, and I cut these flowers out of a magazine, and yeah, I enjoyed decorating it a bit. So the yarn is Ducky Darlings, which is a British designer, British hand dyer, and it's called Lilac Cottage. It's superwash merino nylon 75/25, very soft, and I think it knits up beautifully. You see how the speckles are quite soft, and I really, really like it. And then apologies. What I am pairing it at the moment is this lilac yarn, which is Queensland Collection. It's an Australian yarn actually, though I bought it in the UK. It's called United in the color 40 Jacaranda, which are the beautiful flowers with trees we've got in our road here, called that produce these beautiful lilac flowers. It's 50% lamb's wool, 45% cotton, and I think it matches the hand dyed beautifully. But you know me, why do only two colors if you can do more? So I think I've started just alternating these two. but I think I will add at some point, probably in a couple of spots, a different color chevron, something. I've got a couple of yarn options, maybe something mohair, either pale yellow or oatmeal. Let's wait and see. I've got a lot of ideas. If I only had time for all the ideas I've got, you know, it would be like a factory here. No, never mind. So that's that. And then just, you know, trying to get to the end, mentioning a couple of other things that have been giving me joy and are tickling my creativity. So one is an acquisition. So I was looking for yarn to start the summer sorbet tea, and I went to a yarn shop here in Perth, started browsing, and I saw this one and I couldn't resist. So this is Fibra Natura Papyrus, natural fine hand knitting yarns, is the sort of how Fibra Natura, the brand, is define itself. And it's a 78% cotton, 22% silk in a DK weight yarn. I had seen Inga of Knitting Tradition use this yarn on some summer teas, and I thought it would be quite nice kind of yarn, quite a nice kind of yarn to try. So I saw this color, which again is a light blue with a little bit of a purple hue. As this is a yarn that has got quite a bit of drape, I was thinking of knitting maybe another ranunculus on it, with it, or a love note, something that can really be, you know, drapey and loose and nice to wear with even over a dress or with loose pants. Let's see. And then another acquisition I did was a second-hand, maybe even third-hand sewing machine, because I mean I've got an awful lot of plans in my mind with regard to, you know, knitting, but also a few other crafts, and I've been fancying some cute project bags for my knitting. And so I said, well, why don't you have a go at making your own project bags again, as I did once in the past with that one I showed you. And so I got this second-hand sewing machine. I spent some time trying to remember how to use it and making sure that everything was working and familiarizing myself with it. And then I had a go at making the first bag. In this case, it is not fully finished. It's still a work in progress, but I think I've done a decent job with it. It's got a boxy sort of bottom, and then I've used some very cute, very Australian patterned. This is a kind of a canvas. And I'm making it drawstring because I find drawstring bags are the most useful for me. And I really like this color combination, and I'm having fun. I find sewing, especially when your project requires a sewing machine, not as relaxing as knitting, because you have to cut, you have to iron the fabric, you have to sit up in front of your sewing machine, and then, as I'm not a super expert, I always struggle a little bit with a few things and I make a mess around myself, so it isn't as relaxing as knitting, but I really enjoy the final project. And I have also bought a few like fabrics to make a few more bags. So I'm sure I'll have more to show you next time. But what really brought me to look at fabrics and made me toy with the idea of sewing was this little kit I bought at the craft fair I attended a couple of months ago, which was a kit for English paper piecing. I've seen this craft many times on Instagram, and I've seen project described on other podcasts, and I've always been so, drawn to it. Sorry, I've been coughing, I've got something in my throat, so now I look all teary, but I'm gonna go on. We are nearly at the end of this episode. So, well, I bought this kit in the end because I couldn't wait any longer, and ta-da! This is what I've been making. So, for those who are not familiar with it, English paper piecing is a technique where you start from some, in this case in hexagon shapes, paper bits, paper cutouts, what are they called? Paper shapes. Then you cut different scraps of yarn in the same shape with a little bit of allowance on the sides. You either glue them on the paper, or as I did, I just, attach them with a loose seam. And then you very carefully seam them all together. You have to use very, very little stitches because you are not supposed to see from the other side, until you basically make a new piece of fabric, which is like a patchwork, like a combination of different colors and patterns. And now, you've seen my knitting, you've seen what I like. I like to combine all the, patterns, all the colors together and play with them. And of course, I love this one as well. What I wasn't expecting is that it gets so addictive. I mean, you start attaching one hexagon and then you fancy a different color or pattern for the next one, and then the next one, and you can't stop. Literally, you can't stop. I believe this is not how you should do it. I think you should do like flowers and then attach them all together, but I'm not an expert. I've just started playing with it, and my plan is to attach a few more until I've got like a piece of fabric more or less this width, and I will attach some sort of plain fabric to it and make a project bag with it. And I think it will be really, really cute. So that's another project. I've got a few, haven't I? I know I do. And then the last thing I wanted to share with you is not knitted or sewing or crochet related, but it's just a little acquisition that I happened to do, very lucky one, at a charity shop. So I found this coloring book called Secret Paris at a charity shop. I just paid $5 for it, which is ridiculously cheap. But I love the drawings inside so much. Look at this one with all the hats. And there is a page, which of course, oh, look at this one about a building in Paris. There is oh, look at this one with all, design chairs. And my favorite one, of course, I have to show you is, oh, there's this one, look at this one. Handbags and garments. Oh, I love this color, this drawing style so much. But my favorite one of all of them is, of course, this page. Look at that. It's got needles, it's got yarn, it's got scissors, some lace, a granny square, buttons. So isn't it amazing? Just by looking at it, it gives me so much happiness. And this one, look at this one. It's like a box of pins. Isn't it cute? So the designer here is Zoe de las Casas. Forgive my pronunciation, which is too bad. And yeah, I will eventually find some time to color this in. My daughter started a page, so it's a bit of a shared project that we've got here. I'm not too precious about it. I let her have fun with it, of course. And yeah, and I can't wait to have some time to play with this one a little bit as well. So yes, I think this is nearly everything. I've just remembered I want to add another couple of things that are really making me excited and very happy. One of them is an Easter yarn swap that I've made with a friend from my UK knitting, from my British knitting group, the one with the knitting friends, with Lindsay. Lindsay has got her own podcast, which is So Sweet Samuel, and she sews a lot. She's a very skilled maker, so go and give her some love. We have basically decided to swap like a small advent, 7 days with 7 little packages, each one containing some yarn and some little gifts to each other. So she is unwrapping my advent, my packages that I managed to deliver to her on time. And I haven't started unwrapping mine because my husband's traveling to the UK soon, so I just told her, don't ship it to Australia. It's very far and it's quite expensive. My husband will bring it to me, and never mind if it's past Easter when I get it. It will be just the perfect, happy thing to do every morning when I get up for a whole week, going to grab one of the packages, one of the little parcels, and unwrap it and enjoy the yarn. But what I also like a lot is making the little parcels that I gave to my friend, and picking the yarn and decorating the little parcels. It's something I enjoy so much, and a little bit like my journaling, and I have got a tiny recording at the end of the various parcels, how they looked. Something similar I'm about to do with Sian. I hope I pronounced your name well, who is a lady, a knitting friend that I have been paired up within the Wool Swap initiative. This is a worldwide, I think, initiative where you sign up for a small fee and you enter your preferences in terms of geographical area, in terms of yarns, of colors, of crafts, and they pair you up with another maker and knitter that has similar interests to yours, so that you can swap a parcel of beautiful things. You agree on usually an amount you want to pay for it, and you buy yarn and you add some gifts and some little thoughts in it, and then you swap it, and that's some happy mail when it comes to you. So I'm having fun collecting nice bits for my swap parcel, and I will share the content of it with you in a future episode after she's received her package, so probably in May. Now I think I've got everything indeed. So this episode took quite some time to be recorded because just life happens. My daughter's been ill, then I had to take off a wisdom tooth, so I've had a bit of a busy and not too pleasant couple of weeks that delayed recording this episode, but it's finally done. It's for me it is a very nice opportunity to wish everybody watching a very happy Easter if you celebrate Easter. If you don't, it's gonna be a time when you hopefully manage to relax, have a little bit of a holiday, some days off, even a staycation sometimes is really nice. I'm not going anywhere, but I enjoy having a break in the busy family routine we have. So enjoy that. Make sure you fit some knitting or crocheting or sewing or creative time in it, because it's not just a hobby, it's a medicine for our souls and for our hearts. If we are creative people, we need to let that creativity out. We need to take the time to forget about everything else and just focus on the joy of our materials, or on the joy of seeing how creativity turns into beautiful things, into things that speak to our hearts. And I am planning to be back sooner next time, as I'll have some time for myself during this month, later in this month, when my family are all off to different activities away from home and I'll be on my own. So I'd love to, maybe we can do a little bit of a sit and knit if I haven't got much content to share, but I'll think of something. And it'll be great to have your company for some time while I'm on my own at home. So that's everything. Thank you ever so much for every comment, for every little word you share about my podcast. Please please subscribe. I'm not far from a nice deadline in the number of subscribers I've got, so I've been thinking of organizing maybe a little giveaway. So stick with me, and we'll keep having fun together. Time to go now. I'm sending lots of love to you all. Best wishes for the days to come, and lots of knitting joy. Bye.